I'm very excited to present today our investment in Bitcoin mining. And really, for many of you guys, this might be the first time exposing to this kind of asset class. So it's going to be a lot of slides, but I really want this to be a conversation about, an education experience, because I think there's a lot to learn here and a lot of opportunities in this space. And so you guys know Vinney, and Vinney introduced me very well. He introduced himself very well. I love Vinney. I think he's one of the best people in this industry. I've known him for a long time, and I'm very glad to work with him. And he has a lot more experience than me on real estate, and definitely respect that experience very well. So I just wanted to just introduce myself and Tozy. One thing that we've been doing is Bitcoin mining. We've been doing it for quite a while now, and we are exceptionally positioned to take advantage of Bitcoin mining, which is like the gold mining, so the gold rush right now happening in this space. And we've been, through our connections in China and the logistics and supply chain, we've been able to secure a lot of favorable contracts, a lot of favorable materials to help this process. And I'll go through what Bitcoin mining of course is and everything else. I just wanted to just highlight our track record, our experience. We've already invested $85 million of capital, investor capital, delivering to 1,000 plus investors, monthly distributions, historically averaging more than 5%. And I want to go to a little bit of story of my personal experience with Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin in 2013, and I wish I kept more of what I bought. Yeah, we all do. I think for me, it's been a journey for learning the technical ability of Bitcoin as sort of as an asset class, as a transaction, as a currency, as all the things that people tout it to be. But I really didn't get into Bitcoin mining at an industrial level until last year. I have been mining Bitcoin for the last 3-4 years. At a personal level, I have a couple of machines in my house, but not until last year did I believe that we are at a time of institutional investment, which means that institutional scale, which means lower risk. For me, it's all about, I believe I can take a lot of risk myself personally. That's why I buy Bitcoin a year or 2 years after it was launched. But for me to deliver Bitcoin mining for investors, for our investors, I need to believe that there is a asymmetric reward benefit and reduced risk. And I believe that's the case now. So why Bitcoin now? Bitcoin, it's actually a very interesting asset class. Since last year, I believe that there has been significant wider institutional adoption. Companies like Tesla, MicroStrategy, and even MassMutual, an insurance company, are adding Bitcoin on the balance sheet in supplement or in complement of cash reserves. You have companies like PayPal, Venmo, and Block creating potentially new consumer use for Bitcoin, where you can actually send Bitcoin easily through an app. And as we all know, for the last 2.5 years, the American government, the Federal Reserve, have been printing a lot of money. It's been inflating a lot of assets. And now it's showing us often the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and inflation. And that's been creating a lot of rocky things in the economy now. But when you create a lot of cash, you devalue all the other cash that you have. And why I think that Bitcoin is a great asset to hold is because it's a hedge against the dollar, it's a hedge against inflation. It's a fixed and known scarcity. It's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist in the world that's codified in code that can never change. And there's no Federal Reserve Board, there's no politicians that can go and say, hey, we want to print more Bitcoin, we want to do this and that. So for me, this is a very predictable asset. Investors love predictability. This creates a very huge, massive potential growth. There's 19 million Bitcoin that has been mined in the world, 2 million left, and it'll take 120 years to mine the remaining 2 million. And we're going to be part of that journey. Why Bitcoin mining? So I think for some of you guys, potentially you guys are convinced Bitcoin is a good asset to hold long-term. Lots of people have Ray Dalio, lots of really rich influential investors are putting 1 to 5% of their balance sheet in Bitcoin. Some people are doing more, like Jack Dorsey, probably close to half of his net worth in Bitcoin. And of course, like Elon Musk has lots of Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin mining, I think, is just a better way to invest in Bitcoin. And for real estate investors like me and Vinny, it feels a lot like real estate. You get depreciation. It's a great store of value. You get cash flow. It's a lever investment because you have a fixed cost, and if Bitcoin goes up, you get more returns. And I'll go through all these in detail, one by one, and of course, open to questions at the end. So what is this investment? The investment is really participating in our ongoing operations of acquiring Bitcoin miners, computers, that will then generate Bitcoin on a daily basis at scale. This is the type of investment I love. It's all about getting scale of capital to get better economies of scale, lower costs for everybody. And we're getting miners that are half the price that you would normally get or have to pay for in any available marketplace. Because we have very close manufacturing ties to the manufacturers, and we're buying very big bulk orders. So we're getting the same kind of cost basis that the big billion-dollar public companies are getting, which allows us to get really outsized economics. And we also have been securing energy contracts as energy prices have gone up. We are able to secure fixed energy contracts for 5+ years so that we have very predictable costs as we scale up. So I want to just highlight what the economics of Bitcoin mining is. These are miners, the computers, you plug them in, you get them online, and they generate Bitcoin. It's a fascinating thing. I don't really necessarily need to go into the details of it, but it's essentially just solving a mathematical algorithm. And every 10 minutes, 6.25 Bitcoin is mined in the world. And one lucky miner will get that. And what we usually do is we put all of our miners together in a pool. And if one of our tens of thousands of miners get that Bitcoin, then we all spread it out. So on a daily basis, I get Bitcoin. Previous funds, we're mining around 2 Bitcoin a day. And it's a very predictable amount. So how do you run these Bitcoin miners? It's all about power. 90% of our costs is power. It's passive power. So you want to get power as cheap as possible. If you ran Bitcoin miners at your home, you would probably short out your circuit and drain all your amps, and it won't be that profitable because residential cost of power is very high generally, and industrial commercial cost of power is still pretty high. So you want to get as close to the power source as possible. And Bitcoin mining is such an interesting opportunity here because usually you generate power, then you have to transmit it, you have to deliver it to where people consume power. Well, guess what? For Bitcoin miners, we don't need to consume power anywhere in a densely located location. We just need to have power internet access. In internet access, you can have satellite links and whatnot. So you can then reduce your cost of power delivery by getting to the source of production. And so we're actually in some of our previous funds and investments, we're right next to a solar power plant. We're right next to a hydro power plant on site where power is being produced so that our delivery cost is absolutely zero. And in the world of 100% of all power generated, almost a third is lost due to transmission. And so we're actually just cutting the line, making sure that we're actually consuming power that generally would have been wasted. And so we're able to get really low cost of power. And those two things generate Bitcoin. That's the economics of Bitcoin mining. And what I really love about Bitcoin mining is that for investors, I'm a real estate investor. I love real estate investing. I love the predictability of real estate investing. I'm not a trader, guys. I don't know when to buy the dip. I don't know when to sell the top. I hold things long term. I'm an investor. And what I like about real estate is that I just get monthly cash flow. I get that income. I get rent checks. People need a place to live. And we are able to provide great homes and great communities, and allowing us to then get monthly cash flow, predictable monthly cash flow in a world where it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
And as long as you pay your mortgage and you pay your expenses, you get very nice income. Bitcoin mining provides almost all that and more. And it's a productive asset. How does Amazon pay almost zero in federal taxes? They take a lot of depreciation. What do they depreciate? Their data centers, their trucks, their warehouses, all of their productive assets. Bitcoin miners, these computers, is a productive asset. We can take 100% bonus depreciation of it. And in 2022, this is potentially the last year where you can take 100% bonus depreciation as part of the law. Yeah. Next year will be 80%, I believe. Yeah. And the following year will be 20% less after that. So there's a really great opportunity now this year to do this for all real estate assets and for Bitcoin mining. And then our past investment, I've been able to deliver close to 90% of your investment basis. So somebody investing $100,000, they get a K1 loss of $90,000. Now this is a paper loss. They're actually making money, of course, but this helps offset other passive income gains. And it's all about how much money you keep. Yes. And how much money do you earn, how much money you keep is very different. I want to keep as much money as possible because I know I can invest more of it. I can keep and compound it and I can earn more. And tax deferrals, tax strategies like this is key to compounding and growing your wealth over time. And the way that we're structuring this investment is a monthly distribution, just like real estate. And if you don't care about Bitcoin at all, you can select cash distributions and we'll send you cash. And a lot of our investors are doing that. Around 80% of investors are actually taking Bitcoin, but 20% are taking cash. And we've had investors invest like 750K. And when we were providing our investment returns of 5 to 8 to 9% returns, they're getting a lot of cash. It's great. I love providing people that income so that they can then choose what to do with it, likely invest more into other investments and then get more tax benefits. It's a great cycle, allowing you to compound and have optionality for whatever you want to do. And I'm a big investor myself. So what have we done? What were we doing? We're doing a lot. I'm not sure how many funds we've had. I mean, I do know we've had a lot of different sites, and this would be close to our 6th fund overall. So we're also very conscious of the energy source that we use in these sites, because we don't want dirty energy. This is not something that I'm an advocate for. I want clean energy, not just because it's environmental factors, but because regulatory factors. There's a new law that's coming down the pipeline in New York that will potentially ban future mining using fossil fuel. I got ahead of that by making sure that our energy is 100% hydropower renewable energy. And we're right next to the Niagara Falls Dam. And that's really cheap power source. So we have a lot of miners there as well. And our first investment was in Nebraska, where we have a solar farm right next to a 100 megawatt solar farm, the largest farm in Nebraska. And this investment will be deploying in Texas, the center of Bitcoin mining, where everything's happening. And I recently talked to the state attorney general. He's a big fan, guys. And the city of Fort Worth is now mining Bitcoin. Wow. They like, what do I do with our capital reserves, our cash balance? Like, guys, I have a business plan for you guys. So everybody's getting into Bitcoin. Texas is leading the way, and I love it. And allowing us to have this location across America is really great. Last year, what happened was China banned Bitcoin. It banned Bitcoin mining specifically, not Bitcoin. People can hold Bitcoin, but you can't trade it. And last year, half of all Bitcoin miners were in China. So since then, there's been a mad scramble to get data centers built out and energy in stable economies. Some people migrated to Russia, not a great idea now. Some people migrated to Kazakhstan. But most smart folks knew that America was going to be the future of Bitcoin mining. And that's where I've been making our investments in. And so Texas is our site that we're going to be doing. Actually, Vinney, I'm actually going to be surprising you. We would love to get you on a tour to one of our future sites. It's right southwest of Dallas in Granbury, Texas. Yep. Beautiful site, huge site. and we'll be neighbors with some billion-dollar public companies. So
Oh,
great site. I'll show you some
love it.
things in a few.
Very exciting.
When I first launched Bitcoin Mining Fund, I launched not too long ago, a year ago. Now, in the world of crypto, this is a long time. This is like a lifetime. And as I said, I didn't start launching Bitcoin mining until I thought that it was an institutional asset, that this was something that people could really invest in, that I had everything figured out at a scale level, that the supply chain, making sure that we can get everything from China, because that's where most of these things are from, and make sure that we can understand the tariff situation and understand customs and understand everything. And we figured all that out. And this is not our first interest in the rodeo here. And so we launched our first fund in March, and I was expecting 3 to 5% returns. And I will continue to say that's going to be what we're going to be delivering. And this is an investment where I can control many things. I control our costs. I can control how much we paid for the miners. And those are two big factors of how much we get. But the biggest factor is really how much is Bitcoin. I can't control that, but that does help when Bitcoin goes up, and it doesn't hurt. It hurts when Bitcoin goes down. But overall, I'm very confident that we're mining the dip. I believe that we're getting Bitcoin miners at a cost basis that is much cheaper than what I initially got for the first 3 funds, and that our miners are going to be very productive relative to our previous investments. So they should have better economics than our very favorable economics that we've already delivered in our first few funds. And in a week or two, I'll be delivering distributions again, our monthly distributions to investors. And at today's price, we're looking at likely around 4% returns. So I just want to be honest, that's the returns that we're looking at today's price. But if it goes up by 5K, we're looking at 5% returns. It goes up by 5K more. So mining the dip is really critical, because you want to get cost basis as low as possible on the miners, the computers. If we were investing Bitcoin mining at 60K, everybody would be euphoric about it. People would be excited. Yes, I would be too, because I have a lot of Bitcoin. I have hundreds of Bitcoin. But then our returns, because our costs would be more. And it's all about, and just like real estate, it's all about acquisition. It's about where do you buy, where do you enter. And I can't say that Bitcoin won't go down more or go up more. I just know that I can control my costs. I control all the factors I believe that will allow us to get really strong returns. And so what are the projected returns? I believe that based on my model, and I'm happy to share that Excel models definitely have had a lot of experience building these out and track record at this point. So very confident at these models. This is a strong monthly return. Where else can you get more than 1% a year, 1% a month? And the first month, we're going to be scaling up, wrapping up. And over the next few months, we'll be wrapping up. And as potentially Bitcoin goes up, and this is definitely with idea that Bitcoin will go up, you could expect 4 to 5% monthly returns. And I'm being conservative here. I think that it could go even more. And these are the yearly returns that you could expect from your investment from Bitcoin mining. So how do we achieve all that? One of the things is that we have one of the lowest costs of mining. All-in cost is around $12,000 right now. And before last year, it was around less than $10,000. And the cost of mining keeps going up every month, every year, as more entry and more people come into Bitcoin mining. It is a zero-sum game, which means that 6.25 Bitcoin can only be mined every month, every 10 minutes. And if I was the only one mining, I would make 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. If then Vinney entered the room and mined as well, we would share. It would be still pretty good. And then if more people came in. And so these things are happening because people see that it's very profitable. Our profit margins last year were 85%.
Wow.
Right now, it's close to 65%.
I see.
And because our cost is fixed, but if Bitcoin goes up, it will go up, our profit margins go up. And so Wall Street and institutional investors are now seeing that, and they're trying to figure out how to get into the space. And luckily, we're ahead of the game. We're able to secure all these contracts well in advance, and to get these same costs, these same prices, it would be very hard to do. I also want to highlight that because our cost is 12,000, our costs, which could go up over time based on difficulty, we're if Bitcoin goes up from 40K to 50K, for example, our monthly returns wouldn't go up by 25%, which would, it would go by 30%, because our fixed cost is fixed. So then our profit margins go from 70% to 76%. This allows us to really take advantage of the tremendous upside of Bitcoin mining, of Bitcoin in general. If we believe that Bitcoin will be 100K, which I believe Bitcoin will be 100K in a year, then our profit margins can be really strong, very dramatic. And I think setting expectations at today's price point, I'm very excited about this investment, even at today's price point. And if it goes up, it's all gravy. But really, I know I have a lot of investors who invest with us who have seen Bitcoin go up and down, and it's actually an interesting market right now. It's flat. You haven't seen that happen in a long time. Bitcoin usually goes up 80%, down 80%. But regardless, we're dollar cost averaging Bitcoin. We're mining Bitcoin regardless if it's 30K, 50K, 150K, 500K, we're mining Bitcoin. And as long as our computers are plugged in into the network, doing what they're doing, the software they're running, we're mining Bitcoin, and agnostic of price. The price does affect our profit margin because we do have to pay our energy, our power bills, our OpEx bills on dollars, but it allows us to really ignore sort of these volatility of Bitcoin or volatility of the market and dollar cost average for 5+ years. And so I want to highlight fund characteristics. As I said, 90% of your investment will likely be a K1 loss, depreciation. And that's because the vast majority of your investment is going into the miners itself, 90% of them. We have low cost of mining. And I want to highlight, and Vinney and I are on the same page here, we want to de-risk this for investors. We want you guys to have the priority to get all the profits first, because I'm betting on the future of Bitcoin. I know that there'll be a lot of profits later, and that's what we've done in our previous funds. I love the fact that we can give investors the first priority and reduce overhead across the board. This is a 5+ year investment, and I say 5 years, and I've highlighted 5 years in the previous slides because most manufacturers believe that these machines will last 5 to 7 years. Today, machines that are 6 years old, 7 years old, are mining Bitcoin. They're less efficient machines. There will be new and more efficient machines introduced every year. That's just the nature of computers. It's not exponential growth though, it's just incremental growth of benefit. And why those machines are running now at 6 years old is because it's very profitable. When Bitcoin goes down, it might not be profitable for older, inefficient machines. So that's why buying machines now, getting the newest generation machines, paying a little bit of premium for that, getting the best efficiency allows us to be the last man standing. When Bitcoin goes down, less people want to mine Bitcoin because there's a lot of inefficient miners with high power costs. So it's actually a very interesting thing here. If Bitcoin goes down in price, you actually have less competition and you make more Bitcoin. Now your Bitcoin is worth less, so not great. But on the other side, you do have the other thing happening. When Bitcoin goes up, people want to turn everything on. Everything's profitable now. People want to invest in Bitcoin mining. So the fact that the market has been doing what it's been doing for the last 6 months has really encouraged me, because it allows me to really take advantage of this asymmetric opportunity now, and allowing us to get the most efficient machines allows us to have a 5+ year. I believe it'll be closer to 7. We're going to be mining Bitcoin as long as these machines are working, as long as these machines are running, and we're going to be trying to repair them as well as possible throughout the life cycle of this investment. Vinney and I also really believe in everyone earning money when you invest it. And so when you invest your money, we will be providing a 6% annualized return. And this helps us because due to the way that our payments work for our logistics and supply chain, we get a discount when we are able to pay earlier. So we pass that discount to you guys in the form of this earnings. And if you invest in a week or in May, you're able to earn that percentage. But I do believe that this will be short-lived, because we will be paying that return fairly soon. And that return will be way more than this monthly return. I also know that a lot of investors have self-directed IRAs and solo 401ks, and we are commenting a structure where we set up a shared appreciation note so that you don't get investment income in the form of business operating income, but in the form of interest income, allowing us to then remove the UBIT exposure. And we then also create some block entity that allows us to enforce that as well. So we're working with the best CPAs to make sure this happens. And we've already doing that for our previous investments. Self-directed IRAs, solo 401k is welcome. I think this is a strong opportunity to then hold your Bitcoin in custodian wallet to then earn Bitcoin as it appreciates over time. And my long-term belief is that it'll be 1 million plus in 10 plus years. So compound your Bitcoin is also something that we're going to be delivering for investors. It's something that I want everyone to have the ability to do. We're creating our own investor portal where we'll be competing against the likes of Celsius and other CeFi investment entities, allowing you to earn 4 to 5% annualized return on your Bitcoin paid monthly. So you don't have to necessarily hold on your Bitcoin. You can just keep earning interest on it for your distributions. How does this work for us? How does fund management work? So we plug in our miners. We work with Foundry. We're one of the biggest clients, and we're early customer of them. And we get daily rewards in terms of Bitcoin. An example of our first fund and getting $14,000 a day. Now it's a lot more across all our funds. And then every month we then sell a portion. I don't love selling Bitcoin anytime, especially at these prices, but this investment is supposed to be a profitable investment ongoing. We will never ask for more money. This would be profitable day one, and our profit margin is very high already. So then we sell a significant amount of the Bitcoin to pay for our power costs. And for those investors who want it in cash, we then also sell it and then send you cash through ACH payments. But for most investors, and it's actually much easier for us to distribute Bitcoin to your wallet, to your address, we send Bitcoin on a monthly basis. So that's how we're processing it and how we're doing it for 1,000 plus investors now. And I want to highlight what Bitcoin mining looks like if you guys haven't seen it. This will be a bit of a loud video, and I want to highlight how loud it is because this is Bitcoin mining. This is machines printing Bitcoin. This is money printing machines, literally money printing machines. You can hear how loud it is, and you can hear it. You can't feel it, but it's very hot. And all these machines basically allow us to mine Bitcoin. This is our New York facility here. So very excited to then deploy very similar things in Texas as well. This is our West Texas site. We're building it now. This is pictures from 3 months ago. So this is a little bit more developed now. And we'd love to, if anyone's in Texas, we'd love to show you a tour if you can get if we can arrange that for you guys. And you can notice it's basically a lot of it is power, right? It's all power. How do you get power delivered? How to get power? And so what we're building right now is power. We're going to have it ready in July, and we're going to have all the miners ready and plugged in. But that's not necessarily the Omni site. We have a few other sites that we were going to be plugging in earlier so that we can get you guys Bitcoin as soon as possible. And wanted to just reiterate, highlight the fund terms. It's 5+ years of mining. Essentially, we'll be running these machines to the ground. And of course, in the potential scenario where we have a really great offer, where we can go public, we will always be opportunistic with these things. My current operations valued at public market today will likely be around $500 million. I don't think it's a great time to go public. Market is not great. But in the event that the market turns, we will be opportunistic ready, and everybody will have a very nice liquidity payday. So that's something I don't want to promise, but something that I will always be exploring, as I want to make sure that every investor makes as much money as possible. And I do too. And so the return of capital right now, we're targeting around 18 to 24 months. That's based on today's price, of course, to go up. And so our first fund, we're at around 12 months return of capital. Distributions in USD or BTC or dollars or Bitcoin. And of course, the annualized 6% return to mining starts. And as for most of my funds, most of Vinny's funds, what I want to make sure to do is no acquisition asset management, because I'm investing in this. I'm investing more than $1 million into this fund likely, and I will be across all my investments in Bitcoin mining close to $10 million. So I'm fully aligned with you guys.
250,000 my own money also,
Yeah.
and along with you, brother. Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely, I'm very excited about the whole prospect of Bitcoin mining, and our son has been leading the way, and we've been investing in crypto for the last many years. And it's been just so amazing to see the growth of, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course, Luna and all. And there are some questions. I'm sure we'll be asking more questions. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So a few more slides before we get into questions, and we'll go this fast. We want to make sure that investors get some good priority. We're reducing our minimum to 50K so that investors can come in, because this would be a new investment. I believe that. And so if the investment will be 100% return capital to investors, then a 50% profit share afterwards. But if you invest more, you would get a little bit more of the profit share, 55 to 60% based on these tiers of investment. And we've had many investors who invested $1 million plus, and they're very happy with the returns based on the monthly returns that we've been delivering. It's fantastic, especially the K1 returns. Delivering so many K1s the last few months has been tiresome, but delivering really high negative passive K1s is great for tax offsets. So we already actually acquired the miners. We made the contract terms. I've agreed to them, and we booked the price at a very smart price. And we're going to be paying payments over the next few months for those. We're going to be installing them throughout June and July. And then we're going to be, as soon as we then mine any kind of Bitcoin, the next month, we then distribute to you guys. So we want to make sure that we don't hold any Bitcoin. We send Bitcoin as fast as possible to you guys, and that you guys will get earnings as soon as we mine Bitcoin. So in summary, very experienced team, levered investment in Bitcoin, fast return on capital, and extremely great tax advantages, and really great downside protection, something that I haven't focused on. If Bitcoin goes down, you're still dollar cost averaging Bitcoin, and you're probably going to be making money versus losing money. So that's the slides. Happy to turn to questions. Vinny, if you want to take lead on asking questions.
Okay. I would love to. No, thank you so much, Eng. What a great PowerPoint presentation and everything. And love to ask some questions. And let's see here. People were asking, would we have the recording of this presentation to review it again? Yes, definitely. We'll be giving you full chance to do that. And hi, everybody, only able to see 15 minutes before going pick up, no problem. Some people joined and they will be wanting to review this, no problem. And thank you for inviting from Ken Wall's group. Thank you so much. I saw you last night,
Read the Q&A.
Oh, Monica, okay, sorry. You can come in and help, please, Beta. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, I was just saying read the Q&A. That's where the
I'm just trying to
questions
make
are.
fun to see if anybody. Okay, all righty. That's my lovely daughter, Monica Chopra. Many of you have known Monica Moneil. That's Monica and Neil, our kids named together, our legacy.
So the questions are, one is, how many Bitcoin have been mined so far?
Okay.
Yeah, so we answered that earlier, but it's 21 million Bitcoin is available in the world.
Sure.
That's code. That's in code. 19 million have been mined.
Sure.
And if you think about it, and so there's 2 million left. And every 4 years, there's half of much Bitcoin that can be mined. This is intentional. When Bitcoin was released early on, it was very easy to mine Bitcoin. When it's something's easy to do, it's not worth much. So Bitcoin was in the dollars and the cents, and I bought Bitcoin at $20. And I was mining Bitcoin at $100, $200, $400. And now it's getting harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. And that means the price goes up. And every 4 years, it gets twice as hard. And that's why it's race against the clock to go in now. So urgency, 2022 is going to be the big banner year, I believe. I think obviously we're going to be mining Bitcoin for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But another thing that I want to note is that I think around 4 million Bitcoin is just lost to the world.
Yeah.
Because of amnesia, of dementia, of death. Bitcoin by its nature is a asset that is a decentralized asset. you don't, if I send you Bitcoin and you forget the keys, there's no like Chase banking call, there's no account manager. You can like, hey, what's my password? Here's my ID. So there are custodial solutions for that, and happy to provide for those who aren't familiar with any of this stuff, provide really safe ways to do that. But what this means is that I really believe there's less Bitcoin out in the world. And for the most part, 65% of all Bitcoin in the world has not been moved in a year, which means that, and you can see all of it in the blockchain. This is all public information on the blockchain, which means that most people are long-term believers of Bitcoin. People aren't buying and selling. We're just buying and holding. And that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, our family loves Bitcoin. We all invest in Bitcoin. The next question, I don't know if you want to read that one.
No, go ahead, Monica, please, Peter. Yeah.
What if I want to take funds from the, what is it?
HELOC, yeah.
HELOC secured on my home for this investment. Is that possible or no?
It certainly is possible. So what the attendee is asking is, what if I take a home equity line of credit, right? Mm-hmm. My belief is that you should always be optimizing your capital. Mm-hmm. If your HELOC costs 4 to 5%, if your SBLOC, which is securities backed line of credit, costs 1 to 2%, if you can get a loan for 4% and then invest it at 10%, every dollar you borrow, you're making 6%. Yeah. Right? That's what we do as real estate investors. We're borrowing money. I love borrowing money because it's always an asset because I'm investing it. And 10% is very low. I do want to highlight, of course, this is a riskier asset, right? This is a more speculative asset. Bitcoin, it's a bit more risky. But hey, if you can make your payments with just 1 month of mining, then I think that might be a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. And then the next question was, will this pitch deck be available to us? The recording will be available, so it has the pitch deck on it.
Correct.
Yes, so we will actually be providing a portal link for everybody, and probably at the end of the day, we're going to be working on it. We're going to be downloading that, a presentation that we have showed. We're going to be putting an Excel model for you guys to view if you guys want to check our math. Happy to explain that, and then see, and then make potentially a soft commitment if you want. You don't have the documents ready, but you can view it at your own leisure, take your time. It's a new asset class. It's a new investment strategy. And I think that's something that I want to make sure everyone has the time to educate yourself on. Because once you do, you will be as bullish as I am.
And then I have a question, actually. I wasn't able to type it in, but so it says that you can receive the money through USD or Bitcoin. If you receive it as Bitcoin, where does that money get transferred into? And you said that you were going to make a platform like Celsius, so then you would actually be earning interest on that Bitcoin that you get. Is it already, can you already move that Bitcoin to, obviously you can move it to a different wallet like Celsius or whatnot and get returns on it, right?
Yes, essentially, since we have some time, I'd love to show you
Can
what,
we show that?
what I do.
That'd be amazing. Wonderful.
I'm going to show you a few things that, so here, I would show you, I'll pull data for one of our previous funds.
Also, Anna was asking, how soon can we get into the fund? We should have PPM ready when?
Next week.
Next week, PPM will be ready. Yeah. And it's for accredited investors only. As you all know, many of you have invested with me. We have 430 investors. We have a special accreditation form for you. Many of you already are. Otherwise, we can direct you to the site where you can get accredited.
So if people can't make it into this fund because it gets filled up, will there be another Bitcoining site?
No, this will be a very big fund. Okay. We are raising almost $20 million.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot of room right now.
Okay.
But we'll sell out. We'll sell out fast. Yeah.
Sure.
So I want to show you some of the fund process for, can you see my screen? So you can see my,
yeah.
And this is Foundry Post. We have, in this case, 4,000 workers, which is essentially all miners. And you can see our daily earnings. In this case, for this one, 0.371 Bitcoin every day. Pretty good. For our fund, which we launched last month, 77 Bitcoin in total earned across all these things. And so we get that daily. We then send that to our secured wallet, which I'll show you.
That's something I wanted to really take the time, that we are so transparent. And that's what it's all about. Syndication world, as I've been in it for 15 years now, is the transparency, the trust, the integrity, and Eng is showing
Well,
everything.
there's nothing more transparent than Bitcoin because it's literally recorded on a blockchain.
Yep,
You
yep.
can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can see that basically every month I will send Bitcoin to a lot of people. In this case, for our first fund, 71 wallets. And what you guys would do essentially provide a wallet address, and we'll
Yes.
show you guys we'll walk you guys through the step. I will create videos alongside everybody and the webinars, Q&As. I want it to be as educated as possible. Of course, all these things exist online. You can Google it, YouTube it, whatever it is. Not a complete expert in all these things, but as someone who has lots of wallets, so we would then send it to you. And then for your question, what we're going to do is also create a investor portal, which allows you to then change your Bitcoin address, change your preference, distribution preference, and then also compound your interest. So then we will then retain your Bitcoin and provide you an interest earning every month of, right now it would be like close around 4 to 5%. So we're trying to evaluate the market. I know Celsius is only giving less than 0.1% at a certain level. So I want to be in parity with the market, but that will be what we're going to be developing for everyone. And by the way, one thing that I want to highlight is when Bitcoin goes up to $1 million, we're going to, in my wildest dreams, I think it's wildest in Kathy Wood's forecast of 10 years, I would have a lot of Bitcoin. I would have a lot of Bitcoin. How would I actually ever get it out without paying a lot of taxes? Eventually, I want to use that Bitcoin in some capacity. Of course, I'll be passing it down to my heirs and my children to.
Yes.
And one thing that you could do, one thing that I have done, is a loan against a Bitcoin. Right? What do we do when we want to not pay taxes? We borrow. We borrow as a tax-free distribution. And there are many platforms that you can borrow up to 70% LTV. A little risky, of course. So you want to make sure your LTV is a little bit lower, but you can take cash out of an asset that if you accumulate $1 million of that asset, you can borrow $500,000 at a nominal interest rate of maybe 5 to 8%. And of course, if Bitcoin goes up 8% every year, then you're actually making money. So it's a really interesting capacity. We will be trying to work on developing that opportunity for investors in the future so that you can get tax-free distributions essentially, and potentially reinvest that into more Bitcoin mining or something like that. If you really believe in it, I do. So just wanted to just throw that out there.
The development of your portal are you guys in the process of developing that right now, or is it okay?
Yeah, we're developing it right now. We're actually going to launch it next week for our first 4 funds. It's something that's going to allow us to streamline everything. I have very big plans for everyone. This is going to be a very great community of accredited investors that take advantage of essentially everything that's out in the market. We're working with the same APIs with Fireblocks and FTX, and I have strong relationships with all these crypto companies. We're taking a lot of the best of DeFi, the best of all these other things, and making it simpler so that we can leverage it for your investment and for your, it's all optional, of course. You can do whatever you want, take it into your wallet and store it, don't hide it, whatever you want, put it in Coinbase, put it in Kraken. I always love optionality for investors.
Sure. How about the portal? So from here, I think we are getting everybody interested. They'll be able to go to Moneil portal. We'll have it ready. If you are interested, do we have the portal address? Can we just record that also right now or no?
Yeah, it's not open yet, and I wanted to, but I do have the link. So
I probably record the link as we'll be publishing this recording. So that'll be fabulous. And would you like
percentage? Sorry, I have another question. I have too many questions, but what percentage of your investors take USD over Bitcoin, or do all of your investors usually take Bitcoin as their payment?
It's around 80% takes Bitcoin, and 20% takes cash. There's a lot of investors who work at some institution that actually prohibit them from taking Bitcoin. And so they've taken cash. Some people don't even care about Bitcoin. They just think that this is a great cash flow investment, which it is.
Okay.
And then for me, actually, I would definitely advise everyone to take Bitcoin because it's easier. You can sell it yourself. Instead of me selling it for you, you sell it yourself, sell it when you want to. It's actually very easy for me to send Bitcoin, harder to send cash. we do it all the time. We send to thousands of people cash every month. It just takes a little bit longer because the legacy bank systems takes 2 to 3 days in addition for the ACH to process. Bitcoin is instantaneous. Of course, we want to make sure we validate everything. There's a whole checklist we do. We make sure we get confirmations from you. And so before we send any big amount, we send a test amount and you confirm around $20 of Bitcoin. And then you confirm, and then we'll send you thousands of Bitcoin a month.
I do want to say, oh my gosh, Jamie Green I remember when Bitcoin was 12. I thought maybe he bought it at $12. I know I bought it and sold also. I made 300%. I said, oh my gosh, I'm doing so well. But also Walter is saying this was very informative. Michael Sheen said, just thank you for providing the pitch deck, recording. Actually, I think voting accident. Come on.
So Michael, you're in the know. How many voting accidents do we have? That's one way to lose your Bitcoin.
Is it possible to show a little bit, since we are recording it, I know we had a little bit later part of the presentation talking about the crypto and blockchain. Is it okay to put that also? Eng?
Yes. And so we do have some more questions as well.
Please. Okay.
You asked, who are the biggest miners in the space? Are there any Wall Street type mining companies? Yes, so there are. That's actually what's happening in the space last year is Wall Street and institutional investors have been into Bitcoin mining. And that's my competition. I know all these guys, by the way. I know the CEOs of most of them. And we all started at the same time. In some cases, and we go to the same conferences, we go to the same events, kind of know all the same logistics. I buy from them, they buy from me. And so it's incestuous in some ways. And I think the difference that my honest belief of our investment, how it differs versus a public market investment is, of course, there's public market subject to public market volatility, but you would never get Bitcoin from them. You would get an appreciating asset of a stock. A stock will be higher when you make more Bitcoin. For me, I don't want that. I want everyone to get Bitcoin. I want people to get cash flow, to get yield, to get a pass-through depreciation benefit.
Yes.
And our profit margins are much higher than their public market companies because they have a lot of overhead. I know they have. That's how it's actually very interesting. I think they do have sometimes better economies of scale because they're making orders in the hundreds of millions and they can have market moving power. But oftentimes I'm actually piggybacking off from the same order. So they order $100 million of miners. I'll slip a $2 million order at the same time, at the same contract rate, because I know the buyers and I know all the people who are on both ends of buying and selling. We do have another question. Michael Sheen asks, do you start receiving payouts after the first month or later? Anticipating mining starting in June. Once we start mining, we will set everything up with a portal or you guys will set a wallet. We'll set you up with as much information, education, onboarding as possible. And then if we're mining in June, which I totally expect, we would then delivering your first distribution in the first half of July for June's distribution. That's our cadence now. In around May 8th to the 10th, I'll be sending distributions for the roughly 50 Bitcoin that we mine in April to investors. And every month is the same going forward.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So maybe we could go to the later part of the PowerPoint presentation. Any other questions, Monica, you could see? I know very good friends are watching this. This is very nice. Any other? I'm thinking about Bo, any question, brother? Didn't text it, but that's okay. We can go the other side of our presentation. Huh? That'll be great.
Yeah, and it's really more about Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? I don't like to actually read words. I think Bitcoin is, I would love to hear everyone's like understanding Bitcoin. One of my favorite parts of this whole journey has been really talking to real estate investors, people who like Vinney, like myself, and explaining it in a way that, makes sense to us, right? Bitcoin mining essentially is about is owning the shovels of when there's a gold rush. You want to own the shovels, you want to own the pickaxes, you want to own the materials that then create the miner, the Bitcoin, right? If you can buy Bitcoin at $12,000, I would love to all day. This is what allows us to get really the best cost basis for ourselves. And the basic of Bitcoin mining is essentially when I send you Bitcoin, there will be a miner or a computer that will validate that transaction. And as an incentive, they get a transactional reward and essentially a Visa payment, right? If I charge my Visa card, Visa will collect 1.5%. The banks will split up the fee. Amex does 3%. And essentially the miners get paid the full amount in this case. So transaction fees are roughly 1 to 2% right now. In the past, it has been more. When more people actually use Bitcoin, which is why I believe in the future, when people use Bitcoin a lot, those fees will go up. In the past, early last year, it was around 20% of rewards. So it was actually very expensive to send Bitcoin, but much cheaper than sending ACH, much faster than sending wire transfers, anything like that. But that's how Bitcoin miners actually validate the transaction. If I send 1 Bitcoin to Vinney, in the blockchain, people will see that my Bitcoin ledger will be 1 less and Vinney's will be 1 more, and that cannot be changed. And as long as any computer is running in the world, that would be stored and memorized and showed in the public blockchain. And that's what the miners do. They validate these transactions. They make sure that the network is safe. And so we get paid for that. We get paid as block reward subsidies of the 6.25 and as of these transaction subs fees. And that's intentional. The intention is that as Bitcoin becomes more proliferated in the world, and right now less than 0.1% of all people have Bitcoin. We're very early, guys. As that increases, people use Bitcoin more. And there's so many stories of Bitcoin being used as a safe harbor asset relative to in other countries where their currency isn't very strong. Bitcoin is the last resort where they can use it as a safe asset instead of a hyperinflationary asset like in Venezuela or in Zimbabwe. And so Africa and South America are actually one of the highest use cases of Bitcoin. You can see that being legal tender in El Salvador. So Bitcoin actually has lots of great potential use cases in the future, and that's being widely adopted. And the more people want to control it, the more people actually want to use it. So governments like China and America and India potentially would want to control their own currency, the cryptocurrency. They believe cryptocurrency is a really good technological use case of how finance and economics should be working. But they can't control Bitcoin. They can't control the code. They can't print more money. If you can't print more money, you can't control the code, then you lose control. And as for government, they would lose control. There's enough regulatory support in America, and the Biden administration has issued an executive order earlier this year, basically issuing the fact that we're here to support Bitcoin. Now, other stablecoins might be at risk, but this is my thesis on it, that regulatory environment will shift to be supportive. And as long as we have more understanding, more money would then flow in. A lot of money is sitting in the sidelines, trying to figure out, okay, this is real, what's happening? So we're still early. And of course, one thing that I believe is happening right now is Bitcoin is at a level where you're seeing a lot of accumulation by the big miners, by big whales, and you have such a high potential growth over the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be very fascinating to be part of this journey. Ed asks, what information do you need from me to receive this presentation so I can review it later? I believe you just need your email. If you are registered or you signed up on a portal, I believe, Vinney, you probably have everyone's email. You can communicate them. We'll send everyone a link, and then that link will then have the deck and the recording.
For sure. Yep.
Bio asks, is there one company that builds the mining machines, computers? No, there's actually many companies, but it's generally around 3 or 4 companies that do manage that. So I think it's one of these things where it is a bit centralized right now from a manufacturing. It's all on TSMC chips, and we've secured our supply of those silicon chips for a short amount of time for the next 6 months. So I'm very confident that going forward it might be a little bit rockier, but that's why we're trying to get investments in now so we can set that supply chain security.
Yeah.
Jamie asks, I missed about 30 minutes of presentation, but are your miners employees? So this is a great question. I think this is it's a great question because miners aren't actually, they're computers. They're big computers. They're loud computers. They're expensive computers. These are what miners are. You can see them. There are thousands of them. We have 17,000 in total, and they're computers that run 24/7 as long as they have power. So they don't need any compensation besides power, and they don't have any unions. They don't have any overtime. They don't sleep. They're not like coal miners, gold miners. They're just computers. So I think it's a misnomer. But I think it's a fair question. Are you building a warehouse to mine the Bitcoin? Yes, we are building the real estate. That's sort of our forte as well. So I think we're getting to the end of the presentation. I think that's pretty much it. This is more, yeah. So this will be a step that we'll have going forward, and we'll send this out. We will also be having intermediate step. So happy for everyone to just connect with us, connect with Vinney.
Correct. Yes.
And
again, I would love to give everybody my email address again. You could just email me directly at Vinney@moneil.ig.com. That's VINEY at Moneil, MONEIL.IG.com. Or you could text me. That'll be just perfect. You could text me at 925-766-3518. So you can always text me at 925-766-3518. That way you can, get to me right there. Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And you can reach Eng also, if and other questions, we are partners together. Eng at 2zcapital.com. We'll know that you are and so forth. And please do go to 2zcapital.com and get to know, because Eng has got a whole staff. It's a beautiful. And then Vinney Chopra and Moneil Invest. And I'm into so many different facets of real estate, as many of you already know. And you'll be knowing me more as we do this 506C. It's a syndication. I teach syndication, and I'm a big syndicator. I've done 39 syndications now. And so looking forward to really getting super highly into this one. We are into, right now doing it. We also got a really good, which will be another thing we'll talk about, multifamily thing, collaboration we'll be doing, and hotels. I'm also getting into storage units and all that stuff. So it's going to be a very happy journey with all my investors and friends. Any other question? If there is no further question, we'll just stop it. And again, please do text me 925-766-3518 so that I can send you the deck and the link and everything. And then email me Vinney@VinneyChopra.com. Oh, that's another email too, by the way. Vinney@VinneyChopra.com. You could do it, or you could do Vinney@MoneilIG.com. And you would like to say anything, brother? Yeah.
No, I appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate everyone.
No, thank you. Thank you so
Vinney,
much. I hope everybody really enjoyed the presentation today. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to really join you. You have proven track record. I've seen you grow like crazy, and you retired. You don't have to work a day in your life at the age of 30 from a very big company. And you have so much knowledge and so much, your intelligence level is just, I'm so big a fan of you. Yeah, no, it's so wonderful. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining today. Appreciate everybody's time. And again, we'll be broadcasting this recording because we are doing 506C Regulation D, which means we can advertise, we can talk about it and everything. And it is for accredited investors only. I want to say that again, accredited investors only. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eng.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.